Hello everyone, Colonji Murray with Tax Assurances. Just want to do a helpful video around expenses that are deductible on a tax return as it relates to business. So every so often I will sit down with someone who either owns a piece of real estate or they have a brick and mortar business or even an online business or any other sort of business. And they've got questions around whether or not they can take the deduction. And the important part about that whole process is as long as the expense is related to the business, then you can take that as a deduction. Now, there are times that you will have kind of a gray area as to whether it's a business expense or it's a personal expense. And that's one of the questions, one of the conversations that I have with my clients to really kind of make sure that if the IRS has any questions, we've got answers that reflect the fact that they are business-related expenses. And I'll give you an example. So say, for instance, you are the owner of a home. And let's say, for instance, you do renovations on the home of any sort. Now, if it is just for personal reasons, those deductions are not part of a deduction that you can take on your yearly tax return. So that's a situation where, again, that's for personal use and you cannot deduct that. Now, let's take it the other way. Let's say, for instance, you are renting out the property, so you don't live there anymore, or maybe it's a two-family home or something like that. The part that you can take as a deduction on your tax return is the part that is related to the business, not the personal, meaning the tenant that you have as the property owner, as long as, let's say, the painting or the changing of the plumbing, or let's say you redo the floors or redo the carpeting, or you have certain things installed for the comfort of the tenant. Those type of expenses are something that can be deducted on the tax return. Same thing when it comes to a traditional business. So I quite often will come across people who, they have a car where they're using part of the car usage for personal usage, where they're going grocery shopping or they're picking up the kids at, after school or something along those lines. And then you've got people that, let's say they're driving with Uber or Lyft or one of the ride sharing companies. Those expenses that are related to the Uber and the ride sharing, those are deductible for that car expense. So that's another example of how, when you're looking at expenses, you can distinguish whether or not, you can take that deduction. I also get this question around, let's say, legal expenses. So let's say, for instance, you're having legal expenses that you pay out. And let's say it's for, a personal lawsuit or something like that. Those type of legal expenses usually are not deductible. However, let's say, for instance, you get a tenant out. And let's say, for instance, you need to hire an attorney to represent you in the purchase of a home or negotiate a contract with your business. Those type of legal expenses are deductible. So again, these are a couple examples, but overall, what you want to keep in mind with this process is, as long as you can show that the expenses that you're paying are business-related expenses, you are able to take that deduction. Obviously, there are some other gray areas. If you've got questions in terms of your own lived experience, whether or not you can take those deductions, by all means reach out. I would love to help. But until then, talk to you soon.